Imagine a future where driving an electric car is not only a conscious choice for the planet, but also a financially affordable option for almost everyone. This is exactly the promise hidden behind an innovation that few expected: a sodium-ion battery. It sounds like science fiction talk, but it's not. Instead of relying on traditional lithium-ion batteries, which are expensive and complicated to produce, this model innovates with technology that uses an element that is almost ubiquitous on Earth: sodium. And we're not talking about expensive or rare laboratory sodium, but the same sodium that makes up sea salt. This changes everything. The difference starts with the price. Sodium is an impressive 18 times cheaper than lithium. For those unfamiliar with the behind-the-scenes of electric vehicle manufacturing, this is revolutionary. It means that, in practice, the production cost of these batteries plummets, directly affecting the price of the car. While other manufacturers are still fighting to shave a few cents off of components, this technology cuts no less than $5,800 from the total cost of each vehicle. It's as if someone has finally discovered the secret to making truly affordable electric vehicles. But the magic doesn't stop there. In addition to being cheaper, sodium is incredibly abundant. Unlike lithium, which requires complex and expensive mining processes in specific regions of the world, sodium can be extracted directly from seawater. This not only reduces costs, but also eliminates dependence on scarce minerals and even geopolitical issues surrounding control of these resources. In other words, this battery not only makes the car cheaper, but also helps avoid supply crises and trade disputes. And there's more. Safety is a crucial point, and here the sodium-ion battery shines. Unlike lithium, which can combust at relatively low temperatures, sodium is much more stable. In extreme tests, where nails are literally driven into the battery, the sodium model remains cool, without any risk of explosion. For anyone who has seen images of electric cars catching fire, this is news that reassures anyone. Another advantage you might not expect is performance. Even though it is cheaper, sodium does not disappoint. The energy density achieved by this technology is more than enough to guarantee respectable autonomy, comparable to the best models on the market. In other words, just because the car is cheaper doesn't mean it needs to be basic or dull. On the contrary, it delivers the performance expected from a modern electric vehicle. And all this without needing complex cooling systems, which are common in lithium batteries. Without tubes, pumps, and liquids to keep the temperature under control, the vehicle becomes lighter, easier to maintain, and, of course, cheaper. It's the kind of simplicity that enchants any engineer and makes the eyes of those who want to save shine. But it's not just the battery that turns this car into a true revolution. The aerodynamic design is another well-kept secret. Instead of treating air as an enemy to be overcome, it has been transformed into an ally. It seems simple, but this change of mindset makes all the difference. While many manufacturers ignore the impact of air resistance, this model is designed to literally cut through the wind like a blade. And the results are impressive. The drag coefficient, a number that measures how much air resists the movement of a vehicle, is just 0.19. To put that into perspective, many luxury cars don't even come close to that brand. And it's not just a question of style. Each point of reduction in air resistance means more miles of range, less energy consumption, and, of course, a much smoother driving experience. It's no exaggeration to say that when driving this car, it feels like you're floating on the road. The secret lies in details that most people don't even notice, like the intelligent suspension that automatically adjusts the vehicle's height depending on speed. On roads, it lowers to be closer to the ground, reducing drag. In the city, it returns to a more comfortable height, ensuring you don't have to worry about potholes or speed bumps. It's like having two cars in one. one for efficiency and one for comfort. Another detail is the air curtain system, which channels the airflow around the wheels, reducing turbulence. Normally, the wheels are one of the main sources of air resistance, but here they become part of the game. And for anyone who thinks this is just aesthetics, you are very mistaken. Every kilometer saved in aerodynamic efficiency represents more autonomy, less wear on the battery, and of course, more money in your pocket. But perhaps the most impressive thing is the bottom of the vehicle. Instead of just being a flat surface, it has an automatic diffuser that adjusts according to speed. At high speeds, it creates an air tunnel that further reduces resistance, ensuring the car slides with ease. It's the kind of technology you expect to see in race cars, not in an affordable model. Even the subtlest details make a difference. The body surface has almost invisible microtextures that reduce air friction. It's like the skin of a shark or the surface of a golf ball, where every little bump helps direct airflow. The result? A quieter cabin, less wind noise, and a sense of tranquility that many luxury vehicles can't offer. And while many still believe that electric vehicles are just a less polluting option, this model goes much further. It's not just a car that consumes fewer resources. It's a car that actually contributes to a cleaner world. It all starts with its sodium-ion battery, which is already an advance in terms of sustainability, but it doesn't stop there. The real revolution is in the way it interacts with the environment around it. Imagine driving a vehicle that not only emits zero pollutants, but that literally purifies the air as you drive. Sounds like science fiction? That's exactly what this car does, thanks to its photocatalytic paint. This special technology, which covers the entire vehicle body, uses sunlight to break down harmful compounds present in the air, such as nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds. In practice, it's as if the car became a small mobile air purification station. For those who care about the environment, this is a difference that goes beyond green marketing. Each unit of the vehicle is capable of purifying the equivalent of the work of 25 trees over the course of a year. And in large cities, where pollution is constant, this means a real improvement in air quality. It's not just a promise, it's numbers that make a difference. Now imagine 500,000 of these vehicles on the streets, each one purifying the air, removing tons of pollutants per year. It is a silent revolution that no one sees, but that everyone feels. But sustainability goes even further. Sodium-ion battery production requires 91% less processing compared to lithium, which means less energy spent, less toxic waste, and a drastically smaller ecological footprint. And it's not just that. The factory where these batteries are produced is powered by renewable energy, ensuring that the environmental impact is reduced at every stage. And while many worry about disposing of used batteries, this model embraces the circular economy. Batteries are not simply discarded. They are recycled in a closed process, where materials are reused to create new units. This not only reduces wastage, but also keeps the production cost under control. It's a virtuous cycle where nothing is wasted. Photocatalytic paint is not just a protective layer or an aesthetic detail. It is an active technology which continues to work as long as the car is exposed to the sun. In other words, the more you drive, the more the environment around you benefits. It's the type of innovation that transforms the concept of sustainability from something passive to something active. And the most impressive thing is that all of this was designed to be accessible. Typically, sustainable technologies come with a high price tag, making them a luxury for the few. But this model breaks that logic. Instead of being a green vehicle for a privileged few, it becomes a real option for millions of people. It's not just about saving the planet. It's about allowing anyone to be part of that change. But the revolution of this model is not just limited to sustainability and aerodynamic design. It extends to an aspect that often goes unnoticed: maintenance savings. And when it comes to saving money, this car leaves nothing to chance. It all starts with simplicity. Without the complicated cooling systems required by lithium-ion batteries, it becomes a much easier and cheaper vehicle to maintain. No pipes, pumps, or liquids to monitor. Just the efficiency of a technology that practically takes care of itself. For the owner, this means fewer visits to the mechanic. With fewer moving components and fewer complex systems, there is much less to go wrong. And we're not just talking about a small difference. It is estimated that maintenance costs will be reduced by up to 63%. And let's be honest, no one likes spending money on repairs. Having a car that simply works without unpleasant surprises is every driver's dream. And this simplicity goes beyond the cooling system. The vehicle design itself is modular, meaning parts are easily replaceable. If something needs to be changed, there's no need to disassemble half the car. Each component is designed to be easily accessible, reducing maintenance time and cost. This is something mechanics will love, and owners will see right in their pockets. Another detail that makes all the difference is the durability of the sodium-ion battery. While many lithium batteries begin to lose performance after a few years, this technology remains stable for much longer. This means that the owner does not have to worry about loss of autonomy over the years. And even if one day the battery needs to be changed, the cost is much lower, thanks to the affordable price of sodium. And doesn't stop there. The efficiency of the battery and aerodynamic system reduces tire and brake wear. With less effort required to accelerate and decelerate, these components simply last longer. Instead of changing your tires every 40,000 kilometers, they may very well last much longer. And this isn't just a theory, it's the kind of real savings you experience in practice. Connectivity is also a strong point. With software updates done remotely, the vehicle continues to improve over time. New functions, performance improvements, and even safety adjustments are sent directly to the car without the owner having to leave home. It's like having a car that gets better over time instead of aging and losing value. And while most electric cars try to impress with giant screens, state-of-the-art sound systems, and luxury features, this model surprises in a much more subtle way: silence. But not just any silence. Engineered silence, carefully crafted to transform every journey into a peaceful, comfortable experience. It's the kind of silence that only those who have driven a really well-designed car know. It's not just the absence of engine noise. It is peace that surrounds the driver and passengers. It all starts with the advanced aerodynamic design. By cutting through the air with almost surgical precision, the car drastically reduces wind noise. Most vehicles, even luxury ones, still struggle with the sound of air hitting the body at high speeds. But here, every detail has been designed to guide airflow smoothly around the vehicle. This means that even on a busy road, you don't need to raise your voice to talk. It's as if the car were a capsule of tranquility in the midst of urban chaos. And this silence is not just a matter of comfort. It is also a strategy. With less external noise, it is possible to use less sound insulation material in the cabin. While other vehicles need layers and layers of foam and heavy materials to keep sound out, this model does it smartly. Thanks to aerodynamic efficiency, it uses 35% less insulation material, which means less weight, more efficiency, and, of course, less costs. But don't think that this silence means the car is isolated from the world. On the contrary, it keeps the driver connected to the environment clearly, without unnecessary noise. It's as if the vehicle only filters what's important. You hear what you need to hear, the soft sound of the tires on the road, the slight whine of the electric motor under acceleration. Nothing more. It's an almost meditative experience, where each trip turns into a moment of peace. Another detail that makes a difference is the automatic suspension adjustment. At higher speeds, the car lowers itself, improving stability and further reducing wind noise. In the city, it rises again, ensuring extra comfort. It's as if the car automatically understands what you need, adapting to your driving style. And of course, the absence of a combustion engine does not mean a lack of power. On the contrary, the electric motor delivers instant and smooth torque, without vibrations, without metallic noises, without choking. Just fluid, constant acceleration. For those used to traditional cars, it's almost a revelation. You press the pedal and the car just goes. No drama, no effort, just pure performance. This silence also contributes to a more comfortable travel experience. On long journeys, you don't feel tired by the constant sound of the engine. Instead, you can relax, listen to your favorite music, or even enjoy the silence to reflect. For those who spend hours on the road, this makes all the difference. But perhaps the most surprising aspect of this model is its price. In a world where electric vehicles are still seen as an expensive option and out of reach for most, this model arrives to rewrite this history. It is cheaper than many combustion cars, including some used models. And the most impressive thing is that this accessibility does not come at the expense of quality or technology. On the contrary, it is the result of a series of innovations that simplify and optimize every detail. It all starts with the sodium-ion battery, which is significantly cheaper than traditional lithium batteries. As already mentioned, sodium is an abundant and cheap element, while lithium is scarce and expensive. And the price difference between these two materials is so big that it directly affects the cost of the car. While other manufacturers are still struggling to reduce the cost of their lithium batteries, this model already has an impressive competitive advantage. But the savings don't stop at the battery. The aerodynamic design, with its incredibly low drag coefficient, not only improves the car's performance, but also allows the use of smaller battery without sacrificing range. Instead of a giant, expensive 75 kilowatt-hour pack, this model works perfectly with a 58 kilowatt-hour battery. And even with less capacity, it delivers surprising autonomy, thanks to the efficiency of its design. And the simplicity continues inside. No complicated panels or excessive controls. Every button, every display, every surface was designed to be functional and intuitive. This doesn't mean the car is basic or boring. On the contrary, it offers all the technology you would expect in a modern model, but in a lean and intelligent way. It's a clear example that less is more. The production also follows this philosophy of simplicity, thanks to the use of gigacasting, a process that allows large sections of the chassis to be molded into a single piece. Manufacturing time and costs are drastically reduced. Instead of dozens of separate parts that need to be assembled and welded, the chassis is created in just a few steps. This not only speeds up production, but also improves quality, ensuring a more resistant and safer structure. And when we talk about accessibility, it's not just about the purchase price. Operating costs are also low, with a battery that remains stable for much longer and impressive energy efficiency. The cost per kilometer driven is a fraction of what you would pay for a gasoline car. And even among electric vehicles, it stands out, consuming less energy thanks to its aerodynamic design and energy recovery system. For those who have always dreamed of having an electric car, but thought it was a luxury for few, this model is a real game changer. It's not just a question of a lower initial price. It's a car that costs less to maintain, uses less energy, and offers cutting-edge technology without complications. A car that fits in the pockets of millions of people. And as if it weren't enough to be affordable, quiet, and efficient, this model is also a positive force for the environment. But not in a superficial way, like many electric vehicles that simply stop emitting polluting gases. No, this car goes much further, making sustainability a central part of its very existence. It doesn't just prevent damage to the planet, it helps repair it. It all starts with the drastically reduced environmental impact of its production. The sodium-ion battery, which is already cheaper and safer, is also much more environmentally friendly. Its manufacturing process requires 91% less energy compared to lithium batteries. This means less CO2 emissions, less consumption of natural resources, and less toxic waste. And in a world where demand for electric vehicles grows every year, this difference makes a huge difference. But the true positive impact goes beyond production. The photocatalytic paint, which covers the car body, is an innovation that seems like something out of a science fiction film. When exposed to sunlight, this special paint begins to purify the air around it, breaking down harmful compounds like nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds. In other words, every time the car is exposed to the sun, it is cleaning the air. It's as if it becomes a small mobile purification station. And it's not just a symbolic issue. The numbers are impressive. Each unit of this model is capable of purifying the equivalent of the work of 25 trees in 1 year. Now, imagine hundreds of thousands of these vehicles driving down the streets, each helping to clean the air in major cities. It is a silent and constant revolution, where every kilometer driven represents a positive impact on the environment. But sustainability doesn't stop there. The recycling process of this model is another example of how technology can be used intelligently. At the end of its useful life, the car does not become an environmental problem. On the contrary, it becomes a source of resources. Its modular and simplified design allows parts to be easily disassembled and reused. The sodium-ion battery, for example, is fully recyclable, and the materials can be used to manufacture new units. Even the factory where these vehicles are produced is designed to be sustainable. Powered by renewable energy and with a highly efficient waste management system, it represents a commitment to reducing environmental impact at every stage. It's as if every detail was a piece of a big puzzle, where sustainability isn't just a nice word, it's a real practice. And for drivers, this sustainability translates into savings. Fewer complex components mean fewer parts that can fail. The sodium-ion battery, with its stability and long service life, reduces the need for maintenance. And the aerodynamic design not only improves efficiency, but also reduces tire and brake wear. It's a virtuous cycle where what's good for the environment is also good for your wallet.